Hi everybody and welcome. I've been asked to create a tutorial on how to make curtains using NCloth on Maya 2023, but I've decided to just turn that into a general NCloth know-how video, so I'm going to be covering bed sheets, curtains and pillows. So let's start off with what is probably the simplest and make a bed sheet. So on the left hand side of your screen, you should make sure that you are in the FX menu. And if you don't see a timeline at the bottom hand of your screen, you should go to the Maya General Workspace on the right hand side. So what we're going to do first is we're going to create a plane. And we're going to scale that up. We're going to scale that up. Let's see. Maybe not that big. Okay, and then we're going to move that up a bit. And in the channel box editor, you're going to go to Inputs, Polyplane 1, and just give it a lot of subdivisions. I'm going to put it all the way up to 50 on the width and the height. And there we go. So now we are going to give it NCloth qualities. So for this you need to make sure that you are in the FX menu. But now you're going to go ahead and click on your object, go to NCloth at the top of the toolbar and say create cloth. So now you'll see my timeline settings are as follows, that I have 120 frames and that I'm currently set on the first frame, and that my cached playback is on. So if that isn't on, you can tell it's on by the fact that I have these like pink and blue lines at the bottom of my timeline. But if you don't see that, you can right click on your timeline, go to cached playback and just activate it over here. And basically what that does is allows you to slide around your timeline and select specific frames and preview specific frames. So now that we've given our plane NCloth qualities, if you press play on your timeline, you'll see that the cloth falls and just kind of falls until the time runs out. Obviously, we need to give it something to collide with if we want to turn this into a bedsheet. So I'm just going to go ahead and create a cube, scale that up to kind of fit the size of my sheets. I want it to be a little bit smaller, so let's just look at the top view. It does appear that it is smaller. Okay. So what you're going to do now is you're going to click on your object, your mattress situation that you want the plane to collide with, and you're going to go to NCloth at the top of your toolbar and say create passive collider. So now if you press play on your timeline, you'll see that the cloth folds over your cube. And what you can do now is, with cached playback, you can select the frame that you are the happiest to sort of freeze the position of the cloth in. If you're happy with the length and the width of the cloth, you can just, go ahead and choose the one that you prefer. So let's see, I think I'm happy with this. So now if I want to save this shape, you're going to just delete history on your plane. So now if you click play on your timeline, you'll see that it doesn't do anything at all anymore. It doesn't change, which means that it's sort of frozen like that now. I like to normally just clone my objects to make sure that everything is saved and I can delete everything without worrying about random stuff being saved that I don't want. So let's just delete all of that. And now you've got your sheet that you can move onto your plane or your cube. So if we want to give this a little bit more life, we can extrude it to make it look like a little bit of a more dense kind of sheet. Let's give it some divisions. Let's give it maybe 3 divisions. And then we are going to go to object mode and we're going to press 3 to smooth it. In a low poly mode, if you want to, this is sort of, I guess pressing 3 kind of just previews what it would look like if it were smooth. If you want to properly smooth it, you can do that over here. But that just creates a lot of subdivisions, which kind of scares me. So I usually just low poly smooth my objects. And voila! There you have some sort of duvet cover, I guess. And obviously, depending on the placement and the size of your NCloth, it's going to change the shape and the way that your cloth interacts with the thing it's colliding with. So let's now move on to creating pillows. I'm just going to go ahead and delete all of that and go to the first frame on my timeline. Okay, so to create a pillow, you're going to create a cube. And you're going to just scale that into the general pillow shape that you want. I think I'm okay with this. And let's move it up. And you're going to make it relatively flat. And that's because we're going to add pressure to it. For now, let's go to the channel box editor and give it some subdivisions. I don't think I want that much on there. Let's give it 5 on the height, and then depth. Let's go 30. Okay. So now that we've got our cube, we're going to go ahead and once again make sure that you're in the FX menu and the Maya General workspace, and you're going to go ahead and select your object, go to NCloth on your toolbar, and say create NCloth. Obviously now, if you press play, it's just going to fall down until the time runs out. So let's try and avoid that by clicking on our object and going to the attribute editor, and you're going to go to NCloth shape 1 and to pressure. So I'm going to set the pressure just to 0.5 for the moment. I usually only use about 0.2, but let's, for argument's sake, use 0.5. And then you're going to go to the nucleus, which should just be right next to NCloth shape 1. And you're going to go to gravity and wind and change the gravity to 0 to avoid it from falling. And now, if you press play on your timeline, you'll see that we get this really fun pillow shape. I always love watching the pillow simulations. It's so fun. And because I have cache playback on my timeline, I can just sort of slide and choose the frame that I'm happiest with regards to shape. Let's see. I think I want to have the pressure, make the pressure a little bit less. Let's say 0.2, and see what that gives us. Okay. I think I kind of like this shape. It has some folds, it has some life. So we're gonna delete the history and just clone it. And we're gonna delete this as well as the NCloth and the nucleus. And there we have our pillow shape saved. And you can do whatever you like with that. Okay, so now let's move on to creating curtains. Obviously, depending on the shape and the size of your pillow, it's going to change the way that the pressure and the gravity interacts with it, but those are things that you can adjust to your heart's desire. Okay, I'm gonna move on. So let's go ahead and create a plane and scale it up. I'm gonna go to the channel box editor and just rotate it 90 degrees. If you rotate your plane and you find that one side appears black and that bothers you, what you can do is you can go to, I think it's lighting over here, and just say two-sided lighting, and now if you move around your object, it stays gray and there's no black side to it. Okay, let's move this up and give it some subdivisions in our channel box editor. Okay, so now once again make sure you're in the FX menu, click on your object, go to NCloth and create NCloth. If you press play to test it, it falls. Okay, obviously we don't want it to fall because these are curtains, we want them to hang. So we're gonna create sort of rail for it to hang from. Let's just rotate this. And scale it. And move that down. Okay, so now what you're going to do is you're going to click on your curtains. Let's go front view, just for more precision. And you're gonna go to vertex mode. And you're gonna select all the top vertices. And then you're going to shift select your pole. And then you're going to go to end constraint in your toolbar, and you're going to say point to surface. And now on your timeline you're going to deactivate cache playback. So right click on your timeline, go to cache playback and deselect it. If you play now, you'll see that the curtains kind of just hang in place, like so. But what we want to do now is, I'm just going to continue working in the front view, I prefer that. What we're going to do now is we're going to go to the bottom of our timeline and set it to like 20,000 frames because we're going to go to FX over here and we're going to click this play button with the little bubbles around it, and basically this is interactive play. And what this allows you to do is it allows you to interact with your object while the simulation is running. So we're gonna start interactive playback, and we're gonna click on our rail, press R to scale, and you're just gonna make it smaller or bigger depending on what you want your curtains to look like. I'm gonna make mine smaller like this, and you'll see it creates those nice wrinkles and folds that we are no doubt looking for. Let's go back to front view. I think I'm going to save mine to this shape. I think I'm quite happy with that. Okay. Now we can press pause. If you're happy with that, quite happy with this shape. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to delete history. And then you'll see that if you press play again on your timeline, it's not going to do anything. And we're going to just clone our objects. And we're going to delete the previous ones, as well as the nucleus, the NCloth, and the passive collider. And voila! If you press 3 now to low poly smooth it, you'll see that it just looks a tad bit better. But there you go, there you have your curtains. And you know, obviously you can change the way you want this to look also. I think we can try and do something interesting here now. Let's delete this and create a new plane. What you can also do is take certain points to certain vertices on your rail. I haven't tried this before myself, so we're going to see what that is like. And let's just go to 0. There we go. Okay. And let's give our plane some subdivisions. And let's create a new cylinder, because that one doesn't have all the options of the previous one. Rotate 90 degrees, go to inputs, and let's just give it some subdivisions. Okay. So now let's select our plane, go to NCloth, create NCloth, see if it worked. Okay, wait, maybe let's just change our timeline back to 120 frames. Okay, let's see. Okay, it does work. And then let's go to front view. Let's say vertex and select these. Select the middle ones. And these. Just select that and say unconstrained point to surface. There we go. That worked. Okay. And let's move this down. Oh. Okay, let's not move that down. Let's give it a lot of frames and go to interactive playback. Now you'll see that the cloth interacts with it in a very different way. And if you were to scale this now, you would get a much different result. So this you would use if you wanted, I guess, more expressive curtains or something like a sail. You could obviously choose which vertices you want to connect to your surface. But generally, I guess this is how you would approach it. Then, if you are happy with a shape that you're getting from this, you can press play, pause on your timeline, and just clone your objects, delete your previous ones as well as the nucleus and NCloth and passive collider, and now you have some sort of weird curtain situation going on. But that's basically all there is to it. Obviously, if you wanted the plane to have a little bit more of a I guess, a weighted feeling to it, you could extrude the faces. Let's actually do that. And press 3 for low poly smoothing. And there you go, a beautiful cloth. That's all I have to teach y'all. I'm also only starting to learn about NCloth and about all the new things that you can do with it, but this is it from my side. Thanks for watching, hope it was helpful. See you next time.